By 2015, the BBC on its website, when it has anything about Churchill, links to its piece, The 10 Greatest Controversies of Winston Churchill's Career. And you get these top 10 worst things he did. Now, it seems to me that there has been, this has happened very swiftly. And I suppose, first of all, do you agree that's happened? And secondly, why has it happened?
Oh, I certainly do agree that it happened, undoubtedly, yes, absolutely. And I think it's good to point out that it's led by the BBC, which, by the way, has always hated Winston Churchill, and it kept Churchill off the airwaves during the appeasement period because the BBC was so committed to appeasement. And so Winston Churchill himself wouldn't be surprised that the people leading the attacks on him are the sort of descendants of the old BBC. I think that when you look at some of the the ideas of these 10 critiques, an awful lot of them, and I'm sure we'll go into some of them later, are based on complete falsehoods and misunderstandings, deliberate miscontextualization of the facts about Churchill. And as I said earlier, some of them are true. You know, he did make blunder after blunder. The key thing was that he learnt from them.
But it's this interesting disconnect. You know, the other year when the film Darkest Hour came out, there are all of these reports in Britain, and I think elsewhere, of audiences getting to their feet in the cinema and applauding when they hear the great speech of Winston Churchill's in 1940 to Parliament, the finest hour speech. You have this extraordinary admiration from the general public, and yet every time the name appears now in public, Winston Churchill has always got a sort of something like a trigger warning or some kind of asterisk saying, you know, you've got to bear these things in mind.
He's very much on the front line of the culture wars. Again, he'd be happy with that because he was on the front line of every war. But yes, I mean, we have seen, obviously, in the last 10 years, a sort of explosion of wokery. But it's from a very small number of people, frankly. When it's always the same old crowd that crop up and tell you that he wanted to use gas against Iraqi tribesmen and so on. And each time you say, well, actually go to Churchill College and read the entire paragraph rather than the 3 sentences that you always quote. And you'll see that he writes about lacrimatory gas, i.e. tear gas. He's not writing about mustard gas or phosgene gas or lethal gas. So, you know, again and again, these arguments can be refuted, and I try to refute them, of course, in my book. Whilst seeing it in the round and just being objective. Just go back to the facts. But that's not what the woke crowd want, because ultimately they're not interested in Winston Churchill primarily. They're interested in attempting to make him part of a much wider story of the essential sort of evil nature of British imperialism and colonialism.